Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Maggie, and I'm a graduate assistant within the Department of Professional Studies. And I want to welcome you to the UMBC IO Psychology Virtual Open House. So before we begin, I'd like to go over some housekeeping items. So please note this session is recorded for quality assurance purposes. And in order to provide the best experience for you and all the other attendees, please keep your microphone muted throughout the entire session. If you are in need of closed captioning, please feel free to send me a message in the chat box. And if questions arise during the presentation, please feel free to utilize the chat box feature to submit your question. And sorry about that. And in addition, we've outlined a formal Q&A period at the end of the presentation to address your questions. So if we're not able to address them today, either Karina Jenkins, the graduate program manager, or Drs. Lassen and Abad will touch base with you directly. So we hope that you enjoy the presentation. And without further ado, I introduce the graduate program director, Dr. Lassen.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending. Let me just pull up the attendees here. I'd like to also mention my colleague, Dr. Alyssa Abad, is on the call. And she will be joining me at times during this presentation with some points of emphasis relating to some of the things that I will be saying. As you can see from the first slide, tonight is really to share my thoughts about the program as you are considering applying, or maybe some of you have already applied. And this is a good opportunity for you to get a sense of what our program is all about. As you can see, I have a little bit of an alphabet soup after my name on the first slide. I put that up really just to show that there is a crossover between the academic side and the practitioner side. As an applied program, I have a PhD, Dr. Abad has a PhD in IO psychology, but I also maintain human resource certifications through a couple of organizations, the Society for Human Resource Management and the Human Resource Certification Institute, respectively. So I hope to be able to convey the balance that we have between the academic side and the practical side. Finally, one of the things that I'm really happy about is that we have 3 alumni who have graduated from our program, some more recently, some less recently, who will be coming on the call and giving their thoughts retrospectively about what they got out of the program, as well as what they're doing currently. And I guess one of the things that's going to become clear throughout the presentation, at least the beginning of the presentation, is our connections with our alumni and what our alumni are currently doing, what types of jobs they're in, what industries, and so forth. So with that, let us jump to the next slide, Maggie, if you will. One of the misnomers about IO psychology is really what it is, and many people, especially outside of the field of IO and outside of the field of psychology, think of IO psychology when they hear industrial organizational. They might think of it as having certain aspects of clinical psychology, and that is not really the case. So I'd like to just share with you a very brief definitional slide of IO psychology. At the very middle, you'll see what I guess would be a very succinct definition that you would expect to see in a textbook, and that is the scientific study of workplace behavior. That's very similar really to the definition of psychology, the scientific study of human behavior. And here, of course, the emphasis is on the workplace. And without getting too detailed, we know that the workplace has definitely changed in the past year. And I would say that the workplace has been studied by IO psychologists for over 100 years. As you can see in this sort of solar system type of diagram, that you see on the screen. I'd like to start from the 12 o'clock position from the top. And it's kind of general that there are theoretical and empirical bases. So we study IO psychology through traditional theories, some of which are shared with other parts of psychology, but we make our decisions, even if we're practitioners, we make our decisions in a data-informed way based on empirical data. Moving clockwise around that figure, one of the real central foci of IO psychology is the focus on talent. And when we consider talent, talent is a commodity that's out there that organizations seek to attract. We call that recruitment. Hire, that's acquisition. But once they come into the organization, they have to be managed. They have to have their performance managed. And in many cases, they have to really have their career managed. They have to develop their careers. They have to develop themselves. And that's done through supervision, through mentorship. So talent acquisition and management is another part. Moving to the bottom circle, organizational behavior and development. Organizations have their own cultures that are unique to them. We can talk about differences maybe between the public sector culture and the private sector culture of different types of governmental versus corporate organizations. So that is organizational behavior and also organizational development. If we consider training, for example, training is a developmental intervention that is done, and we have courses, as we will see, we have courses in training. And another thing I would say is that organizations change, organizations morph, organizations will grow, sometimes contract, merge, acquisition. These are all things that happen to organizations. So what happens when those factors change, when the size of the organization changes, and maybe there's some redundancy? Well, we have a course, for example, in change management. And I think that also even our organizational behavior course will help inform any student in understanding how organizations morph and things that they need to do that will not necessarily happen on their own. And finally, on the left side, interventions and consultative. Very often we are called in to solve a problem as consultants, and that is an important part of our field. And in fact, many of our students have gone into consulting roles, as we will hear with some of our alumni later. So those are sort of the components of IO psychology from a definitional perspective. Next slide, Maggie. Some people ask me where the jobs are, and I think that's a very important question. It's a pretty direct question, but I would say that to answer that question, there are a variety of options, a variety of career tracks for people that have advanced degrees, master's degrees, PhD degrees. The first I alluded to, we call it public sector or government, and government comes in different levels. You have the federal government, you have state government, and you have local government, which includes cities and counties. And for the federal government, our location is in fact pretty rich and pretty robust in terms of job opportunities. We have pretty much all of the federal government agencies based in Washington. Obviously, they have satellite offices throughout the country, but there are many opportunities for employment in the public sector. I myself worked. I've been a consultant in the public sector, but I worked in the public sector full time for the state of Maryland, which is a different layer, a different level of government, if you will. So that's one possibility. The second is corporate or private. corporations, companies, for-profit organizations, and that is another place where people can work. Sometimes they're working in training and development. Sometimes they're working in talent acquisition or talent management for for-profit companies. Then there are consulting opportunities. There are many consulting firms that support federal and state government that are located in Montgomery County or in Washington or in Northern Virginia. We have a number of graduates who are working in consulting. And in fact, we developed a new consulting course a couple of years ago, taught by Dr. Abad, my colleague who's on the call, in order to support students who want to have that pathway into the field to work for a consulting firm. We have large consulting firms such as Deloitte, Booz Allen, but we also have medium-sized consulting firms, and people do independent consulting as private practitioners, as individual practitioners, that is. Then we have nonprofit organizations. I have worked myself running a nonprofit workforce development organization that I see Sarah on the call, so she shadowed me for a day in the office there. And finally, higher education, which is a space that I work in terms of administering the program as well as teaching in the classroom. But also there are research institutes such as Westat and Impact that are in our area where we have graduates, and that's another possibility for employment for IO psychologists. And I would emphasize, when I say for IO psychology professionals with a master's degree, somebody who finishes our program can get a fine job. It doesn't necessarily require a PhD. That's a question that I often get in terms of job opportunities for master's students. Okay, next slide, please. I alluded to in the first slide sort of having a background that is bifurcated between IO and HR. And what I did was I took from LinkedIn, I took actual job titles for people that have backgrounds in IO psychology from colleagues of mine, from people that I know as well as alumni, really just to show that when you're looking for a job, and this is a piece of advice that I give to graduates and job seekers in the field, don't look for a job that has IO psychology in the title. I mean, you could, but I think that's very limiting. In many cases, jobs that would be suitable for people that have our background could very well not have IO psychologist, either one or both of those words in the title. And as you can see, the jobs that I guess I would put into the IO column, literally, are personnel psychologist, human capital consultant, management analyst, research scientist. And on the other side, people that sort of identify as working within the field of HR, those would include maybe a director of HR or a chief human resources officer, which is a C-level HR professional within an organization. Also lower down in the organization, an HR specialist or an HR manager. Some students who want to start from the bottom, who want to start, from more entry level, could start off as an HR specialist. So that, I would say, is the HR track, if you will, types of job titles that one would look for in a job search. So the moral of this story is that I think the field is wide open for job opportunities, and it really is just a matter of being creative and targeted in your search, being broad rather than very, very specific. Next slide, please. All right, I hope this will work. I'm going to ask Maggie to show this very brief video clip about our program that was recorded about a year ago. So let's see if that works.
Can you see it okay, the video?
I'm not seeing it. Personally, I'm seeing everybody's face, but I'm not seeing the video. One of the things that we're very careful about is making sure that our courses align with the needs of the job market, and our advisory board, as well as our faculty, frankly, who serve as our kind of adjunct advisory board, they will ensure that what we're teaching in the classroom is going to position them for their careers. My role as program director is really one of managing the ship, and I have some very outstanding deputies on this ship, primarily our outstanding adjunct faculty who teach in our program because they're really passionate about what they do. And very often the relationships that our students build with a given professor last from one course to another with that same professor, as well as beyond their graduation from the program. Our professors will share job opportunities with them. So really it's a career-long relationship that our students have with our faculty. Okay, thank you, Maggie. Really just a brief clip, and I mentioned the faculty. I would encourage you to take a look at the website, which is umbc.edu/io, and go to people, and there you can see the bios of our faculty. Our faculty are individuals who work professionally in the field and come to teach for us in the evenings. Usually our classes start at 6 o'clock, and really they're bringing from their wealth of experience, as well as some things maybe that they have encountered during their workday. They're bringing that to the classroom. I think there's somebody who's on a phone, and I would ask that you mute yourself. There is some background noise. It's a 201 area code. Unless Maggie, can you mute? Anybody? Okay. All right. So I wanted to really just focus. I just really wanted to highlight our faculty, and we'll talk a little bit about our courses, which I mentioned in the video. Really, we hope to align with industry needs. The program, as I mentioned, we don't have a master's thesis as a requirement at the end of the line. So that's sort of indicative of the fact that we're an applied program rather than a research-oriented program. And our schedule is what I would call working friendly. Pretty much all of our classes start in the evening around 6 o'clock and meet once a week. Individuals who are working, even working full-time, can take 2 courses a semester comfortably. In fact, the first semester, all of our students have to take the required 2 courses. And that is sort of the pace at which our students go. We do offer summer courses. We offer 4 or 5 summer courses options. I wouldn't recommend that people taking all of the courses in that first summer, but one could take 2 or 3 courses in the summer if they were really motivated and had the bandwidth to do so, and that might affect progression through the program. We'll see in the coming slides as we differentiate between what we call core, more foundational courses that our students have to take 5 of, and our specialty courses. And because we have close to 100 students in our program now, that allows us the critical mass so that we can offer many of the elective courses that we offer. In fact, we've added a couple of elective courses over the past couple of years to allow students to self-select the courses that match their career interests. We also have things that happen beyond the classroom. Beyond the classroom, we have, as I mentioned before, on our webpage, we have a people drop down, and we have faculty, and we also have our advisory board. Our advisory board are made up of 12 really exceptional individuals who are working in the field of HR or IO, and they give of their time. They give of their time to guide our program, our curriculum. But one of the things that really has emerged as a great feature of our program is the mentorship, that each of our advisory board members will meet with 2 students a semester and give of their time, whether it's an informational interview or guidance or career guidance. And I would say that one of the really nice outcomes are the relationships that turned into jobs with those organizations. The capstone experience is an applied consulting project that our students do in lieu of a master's thesis in their final semester. There's an optional practicum, which I won't get into right now, but it is a practical experience under a high-level individual in an organization. Occasionally, we'll have consulting projects that faculty will allow students to participate in. And we also encourage professional associations like the Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology, PTC, the Personnel Testing Council, as well as Society for Human Resource Management. We have collaborations with them. We encourage our students to become involved, even consider getting the certifications that I mentioned before that will really enhance their overall education that they receive at UMBC. Next slide, Maggie.
Dr. Lassen, I
Yes.
have a question. Do you want to hold the questions in the chat till the end or as they come up?
I would thank you for monitoring it. I would say if you see a comment that is absolutely on point, then bring that to my attention. But if it's a question of a more general nature, I see there's a question in there about scholarships.
Right.
In some cases, that is really going to be directed to Karina Jenkins as well. Anyway. So we are monitoring the chat. Thank you, and we will have those addressed either this evening or direct you to the person that will have the right answer for you. Thank you, Maggie. Next slide, please. The number of courses that are required are 10. 10 times 3 credits, pretty easy math, 30 credits total. And those 10 courses are subdivided 5 core, 4 elective or specialty courses, and our capstone. So that's our, that's the breakdown of our courses. Next slide, please. All right, this is a very busy slide, but I'm going to say it's a very important slide. It's busy because it has all of the courses that we offer with their course numbers, but it's also an excellent academic planning slide for those who want to plot out their journey once they're accepted in the program. It has on the right side, it has the semester in which that course is offered. And we have made a couple of slight changes over the years, but we'd like to present this slide because it's a way that a student can say, okay, the first semester in the program, I have to take Psychology 670 and 672, but beyond that, what's available in the spring? Let me take a look at the core courses, of which I'll need 5 total. After the first semester, you've already taken 2, and what specialty courses are offered. And looking at the variety of courses under specialty, Total Rewards is a course that's I would recommend to somebody who's interested in HR administration, because that's going to be focusing on compensation and benefits. If somebody's interested in how humans interface with machines, human factors might be a course for that. I teach a course in job analysis, Psychology 687. That's a summer course. That's for anybody who's interested really in any aspect of HR or IO. Chances are there's going to be some job analysis that is either done by you or will have been done by others. Some people will do job analysis for their capstone course, for their capstone experience that they take at the end. Strategic planning for people that are interested in more of the strategic business aspect, change management I mentioned before. And we also partner with the Learning and Performance Technology division of the psychology department, and LAPT 602 and 671, Instructional Systems Development and Principles in Training and Development. Those are courses that we offer, that we honor as elective courses. In fact, the LAPT program offers a certificate in training and development, and this is a way of getting a certificate along the line. We'll talk about other certificates in our program, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention that maybe for one extra course, if you've taken LAPT 602 and 671, you can get a certification in instructional systems design. And then we have our capstone experience. Okay, so as you can see, we offer courses fall, spring, and summer. Dr. Abad?
Excuse me. Yeah, I just wanted to add that you can see we have such a wide range of specialty courses, and we don't have formal tracks, but if you look at the courses, you can see that some are more HR related. Some might apply more to consulting. Some are focused more heavily on statistics and data, data analytics. So depending on what your interest is, you can kind of pick and choose sort of courses that that go together. If you're not sure, you can also get like a wide range and sort of have a menu of both eye-oriented courses, which focuses more on measurement, and then adding some organizational courses as well. So there's really a wide range depending on what your interests are.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I would just add that our students who have questions about courses that might best serve their career interests have advisors. And Dr. Abad and I serve as the advisors for the program, depending on what letter your last name starts with. That's your designated advisor. And if students are interested in, let's say, consulting, or they're interested in HR, and they have a question, should I take human factors or should I take this other course, then we're happy to give advice according to our professional experience. Okay, next slide, please. All right, I'm just going to be brief on this, but I would just like to mention that we have 2 new certificate programs that are part of our Masters of IO Psychology curriculum. And these certificate programs, if you're interested in the certificate program and just the certificate program, maybe you've had another master's degree or bachelor's degree, and you really just want to specialize and earn this certificate. I understand that there might be 1 or 2 prospective students who are on the call now who fall into that category. Our 2 new certificates are organizational consulting and training and talent development. You see the courses that are part of that, and a couple times there are some options, especially for the organizational consulting. And I put that these are standalone or embedded, meaning you can get the certificate and then just, that's it. Or if you're interested in specializing, if you're admitted into our program, you can get that embedded specialization if you chart your academic plan accordingly to include the courses that are listed here. So for example, if you're interested in consulting, all of our students take 670. Many of our students have started to take 624, Psychology 624. And then it's just a matter of taking the other 2 courses of 682 or perhaps 689 and 690. Okay, so I would encourage you, if you are interested, to apply through that track. If you're interested just in the certificate program, apply through that track. And I would add that in the future, it's possible that after someone earns their certificate, they may be interested, in fact, in continuing on for the degree. And we will have a track for that as well, so that you will already have 12 credits towards your degree. And then, of course, you just need to fill in what is missing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to go through this slide very quickly, just really in the interest of time. We have alumni who work in the public sector, in government. You can see we have someone working for the Secret Service, NIH, OPM, and then we have another alum of our program, from whom we will hear soon, who was an international student in the Oslo District Court in Norway. Next slide, please. Delora Hayes Walton graduated a couple of years ago, and she is now working for NIH. I'm not going to read the entire blurb. This slide deck will be made available to all of you after tonight's presentation, so feel free to read what she does. She's doing some pretty significant work, and you can read about what she is doing, and she's a manager. So she is able to manage others and mentor and develop others in her division. Next slide. Twisha graduated in 2019, and she was a student, an international student from India. And she has gone back to India, and you can see where she's working right now. She's working as a project manager in the analytics program in a very important university. I didn't come up with this name. She insisted that I put the full name of the university. I'm not going to try to pronounce the first part, but the second part is the Institute of National Importance. Sounds very important. But the point is that she was really a motivated student who took a variety of experiences. She seized opportunities, and she's doing some good stuff across the ocean, I guess. Next. Helen Zhao. Helen was a student of ours. She graduated in 2017. She actually did her capstone project in China. And there was a 13-hour time difference to set up our meetings. I remember that was a little bit challenging. Often it would be late for her, late at night for her, or very early in the morning for me, a 13-hour time difference. And she came back to do her presentation. That was the condition that we allowed her to do her project there. She actually came back on campus and she made her capstone presentation. And now she's working for a company called Bilibili. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I think it's an e-commerce type of company. And you can see from the description of what that company is all about. So that's Helen. Next. Anne Catreed. She's one of our first graduates. As mentioned before, she is a senior advisor in the Oslo District Court, but she also has a consulting practice on the side. And she graciously agreed to give us a video clip, a short video clip, which the link is on the bottom. So Maggie, if you'd like to just start that very brief video clip, I'd appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm still trying to pull it up.
Would it be that link on the bottom?
It is, but the WebEx system is
okay.
A little bit
If it doesn't work, we can just go to the next slide.
Is it sharing now?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we'll just scroll through it. But once again, this deck will be made available to you afterwards, and there is a very nice embedded video from Anne Catreed, and she will tell you about what she does, and there's a kind of a brief narrative on the slide as well. All right, next slide. Kendra Lyons works for ESCI. And what is very interesting about Kendra is she graduated also very early in the history of our program and she has recently been admitted to the public policy PhD program, which has become a possible track for students who graduate our program and are interested in pursuing their PhD. Usually it's after a period of time, but many of the, I shouldn't say many, but some of the students who get their PhD in public policy actually do their dissertations on IO psychology topics. So we've developed a relationship with the public policy program. So in addition to what she has been doing in her career at SCI, she has given me the exciting news that she was accepted into the public policy PhD program. Next slide, please. This is another slide. There is an embedded video clip, which we're not going to play, but Shelby Ehrlich graduated in 2018, and she works for a nonprofit called Cornerstone Montgomery. Next slide, please. Brian Reed graduated 2015. He works for the federal government. Please avail yourself to his video clip after this, where he'll explain what he's been doing with his career. Next. Okay, so what I'd like to do is really turn it over to our three alumni panelists who I've asked really just to give a very brief description of what they are doing right now, as well as what they thought of the program. So we have Nakia, Tyler, and Sarah, and I guess we'll start in that order. Nakia, and then Maggie, you can advance to the next slide because there's a picture of Nakia as she's talking, who is a manager at the KIP Foundation. Nakia?
So good evening, everyone. I'm super excited to chat with you all just a little bit. My name is Nakia Elliott. As Dr. Lassen said, I manage talent acquisition for the KIP Foundation, which is a national network of charter schools. We have 255 schools in about 31 different states. So our impact on underserved students cannot be denied. And I am a 2010 graduate of the IO psychology program. I would say the courses that stand out most in my mind that are relatable to what I'm doing now are legal and ethical issues, strategic planning, the professional and HR course, and then also, of course, my capstone, which I did winter of 2010. I'm on the talent acquisition, human capital side of the house. And when I think about the experiences in the program, I guess what stand out most to me were the lens and expertise of all of my professors, the professional networking opportunities within my cohort. I still keep in touch with a variety of my classmates, and many are doing amazing things, predominantly in the field of consulting. I myself also have had some consulting experience with Prometric. And additionally, I do some freelance consulting now within human capital. Yeah, and I think that's just like a nice way to summarize a little bit about myself. Dr. Lassen, are you going to open up the floor once we all speak for specific questions?
Yes, we're going to do that for a brief after all three of you go. So that we're gonna pivot to Tyler in a second, but I'll just add that this is just an example of a graduate who has stayed local and has leveraged the network of classmates as well as professors, and is doing good stuff for the education in this country. So you can do meaningful work with our degree, and she's definitely taking advantage of the opportunities that have been presented to her. So thank you, Nakia.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. And I think we said Tyler Cohn, who's at Deloitte as a human capital analyst.
Yeah, hi, Elliot. Thank you for introducing me, and it's great to be here with you all tonight. So yeah, I'm a human capital analyst at Deloitte, and I've been there for about 2 years. I've been on a range of different projects within the government public sector, and I've really honed in my work within performance management. And so I've supported large populations within particular agencies with redesigning their performance management processes. And what I find to be really interesting is a lot of the coursework that I took while I was in UMBC's IO program is really applicable to what I'm doing today. For example, I remember taking a performance management course with who was the head of performance management at the Department of Justice at the time. And in addition to that, the strategic planning course, as well as the capstone itself, really taught me a lot of really great skills that I'm applying in my day-to-day right now in terms of workshop facilitation, quantitative and qualitative research, and things of that nature. And one thing I would really like to highlight as well about the UMBC IO program that Dr. Lassen has noted as well is the network that you can really leverage through a program like this. I still keep in touch with my cohort. I know several people from the UMBC program who've gone into Deloitte, whether it be through referrals or things of that nature, as well as other big consulting firms and things like that. And so I think the network that you can leverage through this program is something that I've really appreciated along the way.
Okay, great. I appreciate your thoughts, and with consulting firms like Deloitte, I would just mention that oftentimes the firms have a track or a part of their organization that focuses on the public sector, and they have some that deals with the private sector, and it's not I'm using a double negative. Let me phrase it in the positive. There are sometimes opportunities for people to go from client to agent to consult to the consulting firm and back and forth. So if you're working in the public sector, some people who work in the public sector end up getting jobs in the consulting sector supporting public sector clients, and similarly within the corporate sector, they'll go from company to consulting firm and maybe back and forth a couple of times. So thank you, Tyler. Next is Sarah. Next slide also.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. I graduated from the program in 2013, and it's interesting. I think I represent an interesting subset of the population. I went into the program in my 30s with 2 young children, with 15 years background in marketing and communications, and decided I wanted to make a switch. And so after going through the program, which I thought was really helpful to me, I went in to do talent management. I moved on to Marriott, and I led global change management and org design initiatives resulting from Marriott's Starwood acquisition. And then I own my own business, career consulting business, where I work with both individuals and also with leaders. And I would say about this program, it really is a great opportunity to meet different professors who can really open the doors to different jobs for you. Specifically, I took a legal course with 2 professors, one of which, Dr. Eric Dunleavy, he then gave me a job within DCI Consulting. I interned there. I joke I was the oldest intern ever, but I interned there. And it was a wonderful experience. And then actually I took a course in assessments with Dr. Lassen himself, who introduced me to somebody at Marriott. And ended up with a job there. So for individuals who are really interested in learning and in networking and in being inquisitive, there's some great talent out there and individuals who really want to help you be successful. And I thought it was really a great experience. I would recommend it highly.
Thank you, Sarah. And when I see your current affiliation and see that it is career consulting, you know that I did quite a bit of career coaching. I still do that part-time. And I think it really speaks to the diversity of the field and different tracks, because I would say that career consulting, career coaching has a place within IO. Certainly when we think about talent management, and sometimes that's done within organizations, sometimes it's done as an outside entity providing those services. I myself have been privileged to have chances to really leverage my experience, which I'm not going to say how old I am, but to really kind of stretch the field of IO. I do crisis management in organizations now. Nakia mentioned Prometric. Occasionally I'll do a test development project for that company, for Prometric. And I think it's all within the broad umbrella of IO psychology. So I would, I'm a big fan of IO psychology, but I'm also really keen on people stretching themselves and seeing that IO psychology has something to say about not just the traditional areas, but also the areas like career development, because it's all interconnected. So thank you, Sarah. At this time, I think what we'll do is I'll do a pause. As Dr. Abe, as I think Nakia mentioned, let's give people an opportunity if they have a question to any one of our panelists, any one of our alumni from our program, if you want to put it into the chat. If not, and you have an interest in maybe contacting them offline, we can facilitate that as well. Okay, I have the chat open. I think I see everything that could be coming in. Any questions? Okay, well, once again, if you have any questions, I can definitely connect you. I can send them the questions and get them to respond. I see that there is a question from the chat. I think we addressed that. That came in from Carolyn. So I think we covered that in one of our slides. So I welcome you if you our alumni want to stay on the call, or if you'd like to jump off the call. I understand your time is valuable, and I appreciate the time that you've given us and your partnership and ambassadorship for our program. So thank you. All right, Maggie, please advance the next slide. All right, so this is what we call our pragmatics slide. This speaks to our time frame that we have, assuming that you might be interested in fall 2021. The deadline for applications is about a month and a half away, I guess now, right? So we're talking about the month of April and the month of half of the month of May. And the application is the new online application that is very paper light, which we encouraged our graduate school to purchase that product, where it's pretty much everything online. There might be some things that you have to get PDFs of, but there's no application that needs to be sent in by mail unless you really want to. I guess there is still a channel for that, but the deadline is May the 15th, and all of the required materials have to be submitted by then, which includes the application, your 3 recommendations. It includes the goal statement, transcripts, a work history form. Those are all the things that are included in the portfolio, and all of them have to be completed and sent and submitted by the deadline of May the 15th. We aim, when I say we, Dr. Abad, who's on the call, and the review committee, I will include that in the we aim to give a relatively quick decision. We know that your life, your life choices are important to you, and we want to let you know where you stand, whether you've been accepted in our program, and we try to turn it around in about 2 weeks so that you know where you stand, so that you can make decisions if you've applied elsewhere. But I think we have one of the later deadlines among the programs in the area. Next slide. This is it's not exactly a throwaway slide. It is one that is important, because invariably there might be some questions that you will have. So on the left arrow is the more the administrative types of questions questions about the application, questions about admissions, questions about scholarships, which I saw came up before. So those are questions that go to that mailbox, sgprofessionalprograms@umbc.edu. Any academic-oriented questions would go to either Dr. Abad or to me. So those are our contact points. Best is the email. And on the bottom, you'll see the URL for the IO Psychology website, umbc.edu/IO, and that will take you to the webpage that will give you the starting point for some of the things we discussed, the advisory board, the faculty, and really anything that you would really need to know about the program. Of course, if there are any questions of a specific nature, then please contact Dr. Abad or me. Next question, next slide. Okay, next slide is questions. So as you can see, there is a promo code. We all love promo codes. And the promo code is for the application fee waiver. And as you can see, there is an application for the MPS. There is a separate application for the certificate if you're only interested in the certificate at this time. If you have any questions about that, then please contact the email address that you saw on the previous slide, and I will open it up in the 5 minutes we have remaining. I am on schedule, 5 minutes for questions, so please feel free to put something in the chat, or I think at this point, if you would like to unmute yourself, you may do so.
Elliot, there's a question from Brian Womack.
Okay. Okay. Would it be best to start at entry level in HR to be certain to obtain a job? I've been learning SAP for most careers. It might be. I would say it's do you have to? No. But when you say an entry level job, is my interpretation is that is for pay, for compensation, as opposed to an unpaid internship. So I would say yes. I would say if you have such an opportunity to use the program as sort of a way of bolstering your resume for that entry-level job, and entry-level job could be a human resource analyst, or we one of the things I should mention, I usually mention it later in the process, but I'm very active in feeds of jobs, and I send them out to either students or alumni or both, depending on the level of the job. So I just sent one out this morning for a more senior level. That actually goes out to alumni. But I have jobs that I send out to current students, and it's possible that some of those entry-level jobs would be included in one of those regular job emails that I send out. So I would say yes. Can you touch on what change management is? From Ozan. Change management, as organizations grow or contract, there are going to be things that need to be done in order to support that change. It could be new, it could be more employees, there needs to be more staff. Or change management could be that there is a need for the organization to respond to reality. Over the past year, we've definitely seen a lot of change management where organizations have had to reprioritize of what's really important and change processes and change models and change the way that they do business. And since we're dealing with human beings, change does not necessarily come that easily. So in IO psychology, we have approaches to how to best facilitate that change if you're, let's say, an outside consultant or an internal consultant, where there might in fact be some resistance. So that is, in a nutshell, what change management is all about. Any other questions? Is the program, hold on, is the program STEM designated? At this time, it is not. It is something that we're discussing, but at this time, it is not. can the IO psychology program be a good fit for someone who is interested in pursuing a career in strategic programming? I don't know what is meant by strategic programming.
Just to clarify maybe a little bit with what I meant by that. So currently I'm working at like a IT solutions firm company that specializes in government contracting.
Okay.
And my boss kind of wants me to move into that field. I'm currently working as the junior technical recruiter. And so basically in that industry, supposedly what I'm learning is like working with other IT solution firms and doing some partnering, almost like business development, I guess, so to speak.
Okay.
Are you referring to more strategic planning? Because we do, I mean, strategic planning is related, but
I guess planning could work. Like I said, I learned with him and the company, they refer to it as strategic programming. So I guess more of like networking, like I said, like with other businesses and partnering and kind of that business development aspect. So I wasn't sure if in a sense IOPsych could help with that from like that organizational perspective, you know, in teaching how to build relationships, how to be strategic, things of that nature.
So I would say there are parts of that that are covered in different courses.
right.
So the consulting course, which Dr. Abad teaches, relationship development, relationship building is part of that. Is part of any successful consultant to win business, to get renewed business. But the other aspect of strategic, what else did you say? There was the consulting, and there was one other.
Networking.
Network.
Also, like looking at strategic vision and organizational strategy. I mean, that's we have some courses like change management that touches on that, as well as the consulting course. So it's not like a main focus, but we definitely have courses that would support that type of focus.
Would you suggest that maybe a certificate in one of the specialties that you guys are offering, one of those programs, could be a little bit better potentially? What would you kind of advise?
I mean, possibly the certificate in consulting. I guess I would need more, we would probably need more clarification on what you mean by strategic programming. It's not like an IO term per se. So I wouldn't want to, give you misinformation without really understanding what the focus is. But if you're talking about sort of developing relationships and professionalism and how to manage and navigate and that sort of thing, I mean, I think that covers a lot of, IO courses, but particularly on the consulting side, and also in human resources, right? You're working with employees on a daily basis, and relationship building is a big part of, IO psychology.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much to both of you.
Right. So I guess, Victoria, I would say that you're not necessarily going to get those skills in a single course, but throughout the program, chances are you will be able to pick up those competencies. That would be my short answer. Okay, any other questions? See if there's any other we missed. Okay, so Maggie is giving us the final charge. For any questions that you might have, you can send an email to sgprofessionalprograms@umbc.edu, and your question will be diverted to the resource that will best be able to address it. So once again, I will thank you on behalf of Dr. Abad for attending. And if you do apply, we look forward to seeing that application and perhaps seeing you in the classroom. So have a good evening, everyone.